Dude, Tark. So was there ever a moment when you realized that like success isn't really worth anything if you don't have health?
Oh my gosh. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that question. I'm serious. Yeah. At 20 years old, I didn't have health and I didn't have success and I had nothing. And before I became successful, the first thing I had to do was build my confidence back. And I did that by transforming my physical life, right? So after high school, I gained like 60, 70 pounds, became very depressed, raging alcoholic, and just hated myself. And before I started making money, I really needed to get my life back. And what I did is I started going to the gym and I started focusing on my health and then losing weight. And then when I really realized, the money doesn't matter if you don't have your health is in 2013. So in 2013, season 1 of my TV show Flip or Flop just came out, and I got an email from a registered nurse out in Texas. And she sent it to the production company. They sent it to me. They said, hey, there's something going on in your neck. I can see it while I'm watching your shows. You should go get that checked out. At the time, I was clearing my throat all the time, and I was a chain smoker. I drank a lot. So every time I go to the doctor, they would judge me. They would say, it's the cigarettes. You gotta stop smoking, or it's allergies. And they totally dismissed me. But this time I got the email. I ended up going to a different doctor. So I went in, I did a biopsy, came back as atypical, meaning it could or could not be something. Mm-hmm. So then I went in for exploratory surgery. They're supposed to just open me up in my neck for, I think it was about an hour, just to see what was going on. It turns out I had stage 3 thyroid cancer. It had spread to my lymph nodes. And I woke up from surgery 5 hours later with my entire family looking over me crying. And the first words that I said was, I have cancer, don't I? They said, yes. And at 31 years old, that's when I found out I had thyroid cancer. And it was a terrifying experience. I mean, I didn't know anything about cancer at the time. So because of that, me and my ex-wife, Christina, we looked through some old medical records, right? And the year before I had a regular testicle exam, physical. So just as a precaution, my thyroid cancer doctor said, hey, we should go get that checked out. So I was seeing my thyroid cancer doctor at Kaiser and Irvine, and last minute, they're like, hey, we got an ultrasound open down the hall. So we should go get, your ultrasound done. So I go in there, and it was this guy from Huntington Beach, and he's doing an ultrasound on my man part, so it's a little uncomfortable, as you can imagine. So we're just like shooting the shit. We're talking about surfing and Huntington, and I'm an energy guy, right, with my ADHD, and I can feel his energy changing. And I remember asking, like, hey, what do you see? What's going on? And he's like, nothing. I'm not a doctor. And I said, well, I know you're not a doctor, but like, what's up? He's like, nothing. I'm like, dude, I know something's up. And it was an eerie moment in my life. He goes, if you're in pain, the emergency room's down the hall. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Something's wrong. So then I'm like, yeah, I'm in pain. So 20 minutes later, I was now in the emergency room, and I have a doctor coming in telling me I have testicular cancer. So I think I was 31 at the time. My daughter was like 2 years old. I just found out within months I had thyroid cancer and testicular cancer. And the wild part is I was more successful than I ever imagined I would be. I was making more money than I ever imagined I would make. And I thought I was going to die. So that's when I really, really realized money doesn't mean if you don't have your health.
I put a link for the probiotic that I recommend. It's one called Seed. That's a 25% off discount link. Definitely recommend if you're fasting or you're doing any kind of metabolic overhaul that you prioritize your gut health. So they have published a lot of clinical studies. They put their money where their mouth is, and it has a really cool delivery technology that I've talked about. So it's really good for people that are fasting. I would recommend taking it after you break your fast, but after you've kind of digested that break fast meal, and then maybe another one before bed. So you actually have a chance for them to colonize properly and get to the right place. So that link is down below.
So what was your immediate internal reaction to that? Was it, we all have kind of these different responses when you get a diagnosis like that. Like it could be, do I begin to accept death? Do I like hard charge and go another direction? Like, what was your internal dialogue there?
Fight immediately. The second I found out I had thyroid cancer, I said I was ready to fight, and I was ready to fight for my life. I was ready to fight for my wife, my kid, my career, everything. And then, shortly after that, when I found out I had testicular cancer, and then I had 2 different cancers. And here's the thing, it wasn't one cancer that spread. It was 2 totally different cancers. So then, man, when I found out I had the second cancer, it threw me off. And that fighting spirit of mine, it got diminished a little bit for a day or two. And I really thought I was going to die. And I thought I was going to die because I thought I was rotten. And I thought I was rotten because, I had spent 12 years chain smoking cigarettes, drinking a gallon of vodka a day, working 20 hours a day, trying to become an entrepreneur, trying to pay my bills, trying to build businesses. And I believe that I got sick because of the amount of pressure I put on myself to achieve. And people don't realize, mental health is a real thing. And I'm someone that suffers with ADHD, OCD, anxiety, but it also fuels me. So it's my greatest gift and my greatest nemesis, right? But that's why I believe I did get those cancers.
Do you, as someone with sort of this ADHD mentality, and I'm the same way. I was OCD as a kid, diagnosed OCD as a kid, and it was bad. There's definitely those tendencies carry into adulthood and manifest in different ways, right? Like I would flip light switches and things like that as a means to try to control situations, right? And then you find as an adult, you're like, okay, I try to control the situation in different ways, in bigger ways that maybe are different. But did you ever find that food was a way for you to try to control, right? Because you were overweight before. Was food a way that you would cope and or control?
I got to tell you, man, I've been addicted to food my entire life. And I now see my son with the same struggles. And I remember being all the way back when I was a kid, being chubby and being sad because kids would make fun of me. And I remember I just could not stop eating, to the point where I was a kid where I would eat till I would get sick. And my parents would have to open the salt bottle and pour it on my food so I would stop eating. And my whole life, I struggled with weight. I was like a yo-yo. I'd get big, I'd get small, I'd get big, I'd get small, until I got to high school. And I was playing so many sports that like it was almost impossible for me to get like big and overweight. Like I was just a big guy. But also once I got into high school, I think it was my sophomore or junior year, I started taking ADHD medication, which helped me in many ways, really curbed my appetite. And that was really helpful for me. But control with food for me was a really big problem. But what the funny thing is this, as I'm older now, it comes down to experience. Why don't I have an issue with food anymore? Well, it's experience. I've gamified it. I know if I'm hungry, I'm going to eat a double cheeseburger. So how do I not eat a double cheeseburger? I can't be hungry. Yeah. So I always make sure I'm eating every couple hours, and I'm eating healthy food that keeps me full, that gives me energy, that prevents me from wanting the chocolate, the ice cream, the cheeseburgers, and the pizza.
Yeah, you have to have an element of, you just eliminate that variable, right? Do you find that the addiction to food sort of, remember those old, we're close to the same age, but remember when they were a kid, they're called water weenies. It's like you'd squeeze them in the water, would go up to this. You remember those?
Yeah.
I've always thought addictions are sort of like those things. It's like when you tackle one, it just goes it goes to something else, right?
Find the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. You find the next, so it's just this constant, magnetized thing that's moving. And it's if I can abstain from food, then it usually kind of morphs into something else. It's something where comes back to those OCD tendencies where it's just an element of something where you're getting a hit, right?
100%. My obsessiveness, is really what fueled me in real estate, because early on, my first 6 months in the business, I didn't know what to do. I was running around with my head cut off. And then I went to some free training event for real estate agents. And it was funny because I ended up going to this event because these other realtors in the office were talking trash about how stupid people were for going to these events to listen to coaches and speakers. And I was a 20-year-old kid. I'm like, wait a minute, you can get a coach in the adult world? Because I was a high school athlete. I'm like, what do you mean, a business coach? So I go to this event, and the speaker was like, this guy was a genius. He convinced me I could do anything. And at the time, I signed up for one-on-one coaching, actually. This was 2003. And I was so broke at this time. I had just broke up with my girlfriend. I moved back to my mom's house. My parents got divorced. She had rented out my bedroom to some guy from Texas. So I had to live in the garage. I'd come home, hit the clicker, the garage door would open. My dirt bike was in there. The WD-40 cans were in there. There's oil stains on the floor. And what my coach had me do was cold call expired listings, right? And an expired listing was a house that was for sale with a realtor. After 6 months, it doesn't sell. Well, the contract ends. That means legally I can go try to steal that listing. So overnight, I just became obsessed with calling. And the reason I became obsessed is because my very first day of doing this, he's like, you got to make 20 contacts. And I was like, I'm going to make 50. And it took me like 10, 12 hours to make 50 contacts. But I ended up landing some appointments for listings. And the funny thing is I had no idea what to do. So I didn't know how to do a listing contract. I didn't know how to sell real estate, and I was setting appointments. So I went to the board at my office. I looked at the sales board, who had the most sales. And I looked at the name, and I went to the guy with the most sales. And I was like, hey, I got these appointments. You want to go with me? We'll go 50-50. He's like, yeah, sure. So that's how I did it. But then because I set those appointments the first day, I became obsessed with calling, right? 90 days later, I went from being a broke kid living in my mom's garage to bringing $300,000 in gross commissions. And immediately after that, I moved from the garage, bought almost $1 million house in Orange County, California. And my life changed so freaking fast. And I believe it's because of my obsessive tendencies, because I know most people aren't going to go through the pain that I went through. Like most people can't survive, a 14-hour, 16-hour day, 6 days a week for years. And I can, because I'm so obsessive about reaching my goals.
All this while, do you think there was still an element of sort of hating yourself? Like, was this like a driver to almost masquerade the fact that, like, hey, if I build this up, I can continue to hate myself because this shell, like, as you mentioned that early on, that like you spent years just hating yourself. And I know
that's the truth. Everything I do has always been a distraction from myself. It's hard to explain what it means to hate yourself or be disappointed in yourself or expect more from yourself or feel like a failure. But that's one of the big things I've always struggled with is really not being happy with myself and not liking who I was and feeling like I wasn't worthy and I wasn't enough. And it was very difficult. Yeah. And the hating of oneself, I always thought when I became successful or rich or bought my first Lamborghini or that would stop. It never stopped. And the funny thing is this, at the peak, I would say, of my like earliest success, in my early 30s, I think we had the #1 show on cable TV in the USA. We were just crushing it, flipping houses, making way more money than I ever thought possible. And I was so sick. I was so sad. I was so lonely. I was so depressed. I was hiding in my office, staring at the wall, numb to the world. I was a terrible father, terrible husband. And a lot of this was, the post-cancer stuff, the recovery. My hormones were all over the place. I was under-medicated for thyroid. And then I was super hypothyroid, which means I was exhausted all the time. That's why people, they see me now, hey, Tarek, you're bouncing off the walls. You have no energy. Like, they don't understand. Like, I went years of my life where I barely had the energy to talk. I felt like I was living with 300-pound lead blankets on my back all day, every day. And I barely had the spirit to talk.
I mean, it's noticeable with you now. Like, you've got a pretty infectious energy, right? Like, and you said earlier on, you're an energy guy. Like, you read that, and I'm the same way, man. You can feel it. You can, and I think, quite frankly, it's probably, not to go too tangential here, but it's probably one of the reasons why you've been successful is like, you got to be able to read people, and you got to be able to read people energetically, right? Yeah. And it's like, what's the vibe they're giving off? Can I push harder? Can I not? And I think the art comes down to doing it in a way that comes from love and even self-love and not that self-hate, right? Because then it's all just like a gamification to try to like get to means to an end.
Yeah. And one good thing about me, honestly, that's always really, really helped me with sales is my ADHD, because I'm very empathetic towards people. I'm very understanding. I really want to help people. It lights me up. I love helping people. I love giving good advice. I love guiding. I love coaching. I love mentoring. I love protecting. So for me, sales was a good thing because I was able to ask people questions, and I would ask them questions to help them get the answers that they were looking for. So most people are lost and confused and they just need direction. So as a good salesperson, I was able to help a lot of people get the direction they needed so they can actually move on with their life, sell their house. So it was very fulfilling for me.
Yet you found it hard to almost help yourself. Isn't that
right?
Isn't that ironic?
It's ironic. And see, that's the wild thing. In the second I'm not running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, it's that inner dialogue, those internal thoughts start getting to me. So if I'm not in motion, I don't feel very well.
Yeah, man, it's hard to sit just in that stillness and just Yeah, I mean, you're alone with your thoughts, right? And you got to. Did you find that with a relationship with food, like for example, like during cancer treatment, was it a big shift for you in how you looked at food, or was your mentality towards I'm going to fight this and beat this, was it much more focused on, like, you know, accelerating with the medical system, or were you like, hey, no, how can I do this from a food perspective? Was there any onus there?
How funny. It was literally all food.
Yeah.
When I found out I had cancer, I quit smoking cigarettes. And man, I never thought I would do that. Like, I was so addicted. I cut drinking. I cut out alcohol like 90%. And overnight, I changed my food. I changed my diet, and I started eating healthy. I started eating more organic. I started going to Nectar and getting I like completely changed the foods that I was putting in my body, where before I was eating whatever I wanted, and I didn't care about my health, and I never worried about anything really other than just success. Yeah. And then one day it hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh, we're going to die one day. And at the pace I'm going, it could be a lot sooner than I want.
Did you ever, it probably he would have been peaking a little bit with some of the stuff you talked about. Dr. Thomas Seyfried, you ever check him out?
Mm-mm.
So he's this guy, it's called the metabolic theory of cancer. He's extremely well-known researcher. And there's two the strongest theories that are out there on like what causes cancer, being the somatic theory, more of the genetic theory, right? And then the metabolic theory, which is much more, I sit in that camp much more. It sounds like you do too. It's, you know, much more about what happens at a mitochondrial level, what happens at like an energy efficiency and sort of dysfunction there that ultimately leads to abnormal growth. And so he kind of starting to get more popular right around, would have been that time, probably 12, 13 years ago. But it's a really interesting guy to look at, because I firmly believe, and it's sketchy territory to even talk about because people have really strong opinions one way or the other, but there seems to be a really strong correlation with the metabolic side and cancer in general, particularly when you're looking at, you know, certain organs. But when you recovered from cancer, like once you got past the point of, hey, like you're good, you're back on the road, was it easy to relapse back into old habits, like once that goal line, that proverbial finish line, or do you hold on to it?
Man, well, I got, in many ways, I got worse before I got better. So for me, the post-cancer was exponentially worse than the cancer itself. You know, going through 2 cancers, 2 surgeries, the mental health aspects, the stress, the anxiety, it's a lot. But what no one really talks about is the aftermath. And what happens is your thyroid regulates your hormones, your mental health, your whole body. What happens when they cut out your entire thyroid? I have 0 thyroid, right? Well, now I'm on synthetic medication. So for the year after all my surgeries and everything, I felt like I could barely get out of bed. I didn't have the energy to work, but I still did it. See, that's the thing. That's why I'm successful. I'm disciplined. I would force myself out of bed. I would force myself to film TV shows. You can literally see me on TV. I look like a different human. My energy's not there. I'm not lighting up. I'm not who I am, but I still showed up, right? Because I had to show up. Man, I already forgot the question.
No, so I mean, did you? Was it easy to? Did you end up rebounding back into old habits after? I mean, well, that's a stressful time.
No. So I was doing good with food and I was doing good with exercise, but my problem, I didn't have the energy to do anything, and that was my big problem. I didn't even have the energy to get up and go get a glass of water. It was that bad. So I was talking to my ex-wife, and you know, it's like, okay, well, let's go see this bioidentical hormone doctor. Which was kind of the beginning of the end for me. So, man, God, it f***ed up my life. So I ended up going to this bioidentical hormone clinic that did like Botox and all these things. And I remember meeting with this lady, and her face didn't move at all, like at all. She was 90, she looked 40. Like I knew something was going on there. And she was telling me the reason I felt so bad is because my thyroid, my testicular cancer, and she felt I needed testosterone. So this like huge guy comes in, his arms are like this big, and he's showing me this big old horse needle and showing me how I get the oil and how I put it in my, shoot the needle. I'm like, all right, like I don't know any better. And she's a doctor. She has like the white thing on and the nip crack. I'm like, all right, you know. So I trust people. So I got a testosterone, and it worked It brought me back to life. It gave me energy, but it wasn't just testosterone. I was taking testosterone injections, HCG injections. I was taking anastrozole, and I was taking vitamin B12 with fat burner injections. Mm-hmm. So imagine an OCD, ADHD person with like all these chemicals, plus the thyroid. Okay, so what happened was it made every issue I had in my life exponentially worse. So 1 minute felt like the king of the world. The next minute felt like I wanted to die. I had roid rage. I was short-tempered. I had racing thoughts, ruminating thoughts. I was high. I was low. I was all over the place. I was a terrible husband, father, son. I completely lost my way to the point where, a few weeks before my ex-wife left me, I was such in a bad mental health place. I finally had the courage. I remember I sent her an email just saying, I'm not well and I need help. Like, you know, for someone to acknowledge, like, I'm not well, I need help. Like, I was so spun out from all these chemicals. But at the time, I was just, you know, after the cancers and the surgeries and then, you know, my highs and lows and the aftermath of the thyroid meds, everything, it ultimately, you know, broke our family apart. And the wild thing was when she left me, overnight, I quit everything. It's not the smart thing to do, by the way, because like looking back, oh man, those first couple of weeks, I was living alone on my boat. I got off everything cold turkey. My hormones and my emotions, like I was in probably one of the worst places of my life. But you know what the crazy thing was? Immediately within a couple of weeks, I felt so much better. Like, oh my God, like 90% better. The problem was, how do you explain to someone 2 weeks later that you're now better? So my ex-wife is like, you're not better. What are you talking about better? Right? Because like she didn't understand. And at that point, I had done a lot of damage, and honestly, it was too late. So that's when I rebuilt my life. And here was the best thing. The best thing was, after I got off, you know, the testosterone, the HCG, the fat burners, I went to a different doctor, and they said, "Oh, you're hypothyroid. You never had low testosterone." Because when they put me, so when they put me on testosterone and all that, I was already at 570. I mean, it's not high, but it's not low.
Yeah.
It's 570. No. So they put me up to like 1,1300. Okay. Yeah. And then I find out I'm super hypothyroid. You know, hypo, that's the opposite of hyper. What is symptoms of hypothyroid? Yes. Lethargy, tired, right? So I was way, way under medicated. And that's the one thing I tell people all the time. Yes, they're doctors, but they don't know you like you. They don't know your body like you. And if you don't feel right, you got to fight for yourself. Yeah. I would literally fight with the doctors because they wouldn't want to give me what I needed. And here's what I needed. At the time, I think I was only taking T4.
Yeah.
And then I started taking, and I fought for it, T3 and T4. The second I started taking T3 and T4, my life changed.
Yeah.
My mental health got better. My energy came back. I felt good. I felt alive. And it was all by taking one little stinking pill.
It's like medicine is so myopic in so many ways. Like they don't crosstalk. There's not, I don't even like the word holistic because it gets a weird connotation, but there isn't this holistic look or this crosstalk, right? You've got individual specialists in their own specific realm, and they're well studied in that specific realm. And you go to an endocrinologist or you go to a pulmonologist, you go to this, and they know a lot about their respective field, their respective specialty. Yeah. But the system doesn't allow for them to communicate seamlessly anyway, right? So you go to one doctor, they're going to isolate one particular variable for you and tell you that that's the issue. And it's like, it's never malintent, or maybe not never, but it's usually not malintent. It's usually that's just the Newtonian physics in which they were taught medicine. Yeah. It's just like A plus B equals C. Like the whole body doesn't particularly matter. What about every single like bit of the matrix of all the things that communicate with one another, right? Because if your thyroid's off, then you're having a bunch of downstream different effects, which could include testosterone too, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're saying, like, okay, someone has like autoimmune conditions are such a perfect example. Like, my wife is very open about like her autoimmune conditions and like Hashimoto, right? So her thyroid is just tanked. And like all the downstream effects of that. Okay, well, you've got this problem, you've got this problem, you've got this problem, you've got this problem. Okay, let's get to the actual root. Like, what is the root, right? And so much, it wouldn't work for a doctor to be able to just say, okay, well, you need to eat better and you need to do this and we need to fix this, right? It's not, that throws a wrench in the entire system.
Yeah. So the big note is, choose your doctors wisely. And yeah, fight for yourself. And if you still don't feel right, you got to keep going back until you feel right. Yeah.
Given your personality, have you found a way to be able to kind of spin? So say you're OCD, have you gotten to a point where you've allowed yourself to quote unquote get obsessed with getting healthy? Like, have you ever put the blinders on and go that direction?
100%. And that's where I am right now.
Yeah.
And I channel my OCD, and it's a funny story. I'll tell you real quick. So I got really overweight when I was about 19 years old. I was up to like 240, 245, and I gained weight fast within like 6-7 months. Like, I got stretch marks everywhere. My clothing wouldn't fit me. I looked in the mirror. I hated myself. It was bad. And then when I went through cancer, not because I was eating bad, because I had no thyroid, like I ballooned again and I was just swollen. My head was like this big. It was yellow. And like, I just, I wasn't doing too good.
Yeah.
And then I think it was in 2000, I've been pretty much working out consistent since 2000, I would say 2016 or 2015 after my back surgery. So I had back surgery in 15. And I spent most of those years doing hot yoga. I love hot yoga. It's literally my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, you're making me do it later.
Yeah, we're doing it today. Actually, it's my favorite. It's the hottest freaking place ever. And I love this place so much because it's so hot and so miserable. Any stress you have, it's gone, because you're just
has no place.
You're just trying to stay alive. Like, you don't care about anything but surviving the class. And so for me, that's freedom. To get out of my own thoughts, that's freedom. So I did yoga for years, and then I met my wife Heather, and we did yoga together for a couple years. And then I got this scale. I got a brand deal. So they sent me this scale. One of those scales that tells you like your BMI and like your body, like all the things. And so I stand on this scale and I see all these readings and I'm like, oh, that's way worse than I thought. I was like, what is this? I thought my body fat, like, you know what I'm saying? I was shocked. So I remember telling my wife, I was like, oh, screw this scale. I'm going back to the gym New Year's. This was November. I was like, New Year's, I'm back. And later on that day, I kept thinking about the stupid scale. We were talking about the OCD. My New Year started the next day. So I said, forget New Year's. I'm starting tomorrow. The very next day was my first day back to lifting weights after a long break. And that was 4 years ago. And here's why I've lasted longer this time. Throughout my life, every time I'd get the motivation, the excitement, I'm ready to transform. I'm ready to lose weight. I'm ready, right? This time, I'm not ready to transform. I'm not ready to do anything. I'm ready to make fitness a lifestyle. And the second I made fitness a lifestyle, my life changed, and how I looked at fitness changed, and how I felt changed. So instead of having goals to transform or this, I had one goal: show up every day. And when I had that goal of showing up every day, I started to see those results. And then I got more excited and I was like, wow, I'm starting to get some muscle here. So then I started going online and watching people working out and learning how the body moves. And that's how I met you. So then I became obsessed with it to where every day before my weightlifting workout, I'd go on the treadmill for 20 minutes. I'd watch bodybuilding videos on how to move the weights, and then I'd go do the weights because I would get excited. So that's one thing I tell people. A lot of people, they don't start doing things because they don't realize that it's exciting. So before you actually start the action, get excited about what you're going to start. So if you're going to start going to the gym, well, study. How's your body going to change after a month? How will your body change after a year? Right? And that's how I got really excited, understanding how I was going to evolve.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, how do you frame it for yourself? Right?
It's gamifying.
It's the, to speak your lingo, it's the curb appeal inside your own mind, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you have this view of, I want to look a certain way, I want to do this, it's not the best connotation. It's like that's short-lived, right? It's just, and I've experienced that myself too. It's just like the pressure of people expecting me to be 6% body fat all the time. And like, that's just like, that's not the lens that I want to look at anymore. It's the same for me too. It's like, how is this a lifestyle? Like, what are we modeling to our kids?
Yep.
It's bigger than just us now, right? It's bigger than that. And when you frame it with that I just want to show up because this feels good. And I actually want to like change my relationship with it and change the lens in which I look at it. Then it's not a hurdle. Then it's something that it's like, I got to ask you, because this is probably relatable in a different way. And I'm genuinely curious. Like, you essentially turned doing what you love or what you were successful at into a very successful business. Did that take the fun out of it in terms of even flipping houses and real estate in general? Did it zap the fun out of it in a certain way?
No. I still love it.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with real estate. I love everything about real estate. I love looking for deals. I love negotiating on deals. I love buying deals. I love remodeling deals.
And that is exactly why you have a long-standing career in this, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've done over 1,000 houses. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of houses. Yeah.
It's people ask me the same thing with fitness, and it's like with working out or with diet. They're like, this is the same. This is your, does it take the fun out of it? Do you not want to work out anymore? And it's like, I could rationalize a reason where I could say, yes, there's going to be the day when, I go into the gym and it's like, okay, am I doing this for me today or am I doing it for somebody else? And I'd say, maybe 1 out of 50 times it feels like that. Yeah. And maybe that's the one day where but if you didn't have a passion for it, you wouldn't be continuing to do it. And it would shine through. And just again, coming back to the energy thing, I think people pick up on that. People pick up on not just passion, but I think there's something in truly energetic level, like when you're like, you're in this, right?
Yeah.
So it's what you're essentially saying is, I mean, you're able to take that passion. Obviously, it continues to work for you in real estate. And now you've got to cultivate that with fitness, right?
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing mistake people make in life, is they compare themselves to others. And I feel like it's probably the number one flaw in people. And this is where I got really lucky. I don't compare myself to others. I'm the most competitive guy alive, but I compete with myself. So every single day, I try to be better than I was the day before. I'm not trying to be like someone else. I'm trying to beat myself. Yeah. And every day I go to the gym, I want to challenge myself. I want to do one extra rep. I want to do perfect form. So I'm always pushing myself. And I think if everybody embraced the challenge of competing against themselves versus the world, they would go so much farther because they wouldn't have that same pressure.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, talk about like living in a world of judgment, right? Like that's like the most crippling thing. Like when you're worried about what other people are thinking or how you compare to them, that's just, it's literally crippling. Like you're not going to, and even if you do get some relative success with it, it's going to be short-lived because there's always going to be someone bigger, stronger, faster, better, richer. It's always. Do you know that guy, Martin Ford? Do you know him? He's like
yes.
He's giant, 6'8", like 390. He was the guy with the face tattoos in Fast and the Furious. I was just filming with him last week and I worked out with him and I was like, is this the universe telling me, like, Thomas, you're not the biggest, you're not the strongest, you're not, it's just like, it's just funny because you're just next to this giant. And it's just like, I was just kind of laughing. I'm just like,
yeah.
Because in one way, it's almost like nihilistic where you're just like, what's the point? But, and on the other hand, you're like, no, this is cool. This is actually it's humbling in such a way where you actually can just come into the moment and just enjoy it for what it is.
100%.
Like just working out to work out. Talking about like being a father, entrepreneur, all these things. Interesting question, might put you on the spot. There's no right or wrong answer. What would you say your definition now of masculinity is? Being a solid man.
Oh, doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in doing the right thing. Like all day, every day, I try to do the right thing. And that's what being a man is. And what is the right thing? Showing up, taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, taking care of your friends, taking care of your business, taking care of your future, right? And it's just being there for everyone around you, showing up.
Yeah. I think the thing that you said that definitely stands out is showing up for yourself, right? Like you got to show up for yourself to show up for others.
100%. And that's what people miss.
Yeah.
Like I became the best version of me when I started showing up for myself. I really did. When I started taking care of my health and exercising and scheduling and prioritizing, I became the best dad that I ever thought I would be.
Do you ever have to deal with sort of you talk about the mom guilt all the time, but I don't feel like dads talk about the dad guilt a lot, right? Like there's this weird feeling where when you're working a lot and you're doing a great job as a provider, but then you feel this, well, am I neglecting this part, or I'm not here enough, or I'm this, and I think it echoes sort of what you're saying with the showing up. Like how do you define showing up? Because sometimes it's not always literally being there. It's how you show up in other ways by being we were talking this morning when we were working out about just almost being like this immovable force that like the kids can bump up against. Like as a dad, that's what I want to be. I want to be an unwavering, like, you think like a visual is like a buoy, right? There's this buoy that's in the ocean and it's anchored down to the bottom. And like that buoy is going to kind of go like this and going to bump up against it, but it's not going anywhere, right? And for me, that's like what I want my kids to feel. And when I lean into that, it really helps me. I'd be lying if I didn't say like there's a lot of like, I feel guilty being here today. I'm, 100 miles away from my kids. And it's like, what is that serving me in being the best version of myself? If I'm riddled with guilt, can I actually show up for my kids the right way?
And that's the problem, right? And if you weren't here and if you weren't chasing your dreams and you weren't inspiring and you weren't as active, would you be as good of a dad, right? Because would you still have your energy and your excitement and your zest for life, right? So that's why it's important that I believe it's important that we live well-rounded lives, because I think to be the best dad, you have to feel good about you and what you do as well. So dad guilt is a real thing, but I feel like, if I did less, I don't think I would be as good of a dad. And what's the best way to explain that? I guess it's this. When I was a full-time dad with my kids, right, while I was married to my ex-wife, I would probably say I took the fact that I had my kids all the time for granted, right? Because they were always there, which means I'll see you tomorrow. That's fine. Now, ever since 2016, guess what? They're not there all the time. They're there half the time. And you know what happened when I got divorced? I spent more time with my kids. I got closer with my kids, and I did it in half the time. Think about that, right? Because I was put in a position where I had to show up, and I got closer to my kids than I ever thought I would. And I was at a point where years ago when they were very young, it's like, oh shit, I got to fly back from New York to be back. Oh, man. Where after 2016, I'd be in Las Vegas and I'd be on a plane at 7 a.m. to be at my daughter's soccer game at 8:30 because I wanted to be there, because I truly wanted to be there. Because I wanted to show her that her dad was there for her, and I'll show up and I'll do whatever it takes. And I never stopped doing that. Like, my kids know I love them.
Would you say, because prior to, your oldest is, you said 14, right?
14, almost 15.
So that was
going on 25.
That would have been right before you were really going through the crap. So their first kid was 2 when you got sick.
Yeah,
right?
Wild.
So what went through your head when you were looking at your kid, 2 years old, and you're faced with cancer, right? Like, was it a matter of like any guilt that came through there, right? Have I been there for my kid? What that felt like?
Oh, 100%, ton of guilt. And I wasn't there for my kid. I was an overwhelmed young entrepreneur trying to pay the bills. I just got out of the Great Recession. The real estate market crashed. I lost everything I owned. Well, I had to sell it. I had to sell my house, my cars. I was fighting for my life just to pay for the rent for our apartment. And I wasn't around. I was working 14-hour days, and for a while there, I wasn't even making any money, but I was still working 14-hour days, The guilt was real, but I had no choice. And that's a lot of times, parents are put in a position where they have no choice. They have to work 2 jobs. They have to work 3 jobs. They don't get to see their kids. They carry the guilt. But at the end of the day, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And would I change anything? No, because if I didn't do what I did when she was 1 and 2, well, we wouldn't all be here today. Yeah. We wouldn't have the opportunities we have today. We wouldn't have the experiences we have today. I wouldn't be in a position where now I've set our futures up to where I plan on spending my entire life with my kids, where a lot of people, they raise the kids, they go off, oh, hell no, I'm going to buy kids' houses next to me. We're going on family vacations every quarter. And that's one of the big reasons I wanted to be successful, is because I wanted to always have my family with me throughout my entire life. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
dude, it's literally my exact same motivation. It's why I'm an entrepreneur.
I didn't want to raise my kids, send them off, and okay, bye, go enjoy your life. No. Like when my daughter's 30, when she's 35, I'm going to take her, the grandkid, everybody on cruises and vacations, and I'm not going anywhere. I want my kids to come work in the family businesses. I want to mentor them. I want to teach them. So I have no regrets, man. I've always given it 100% with everything I do. My only regret is not taking care of my mental health sooner after all my health issues, because ultimately it led me to losing my family.
Yeah.
But, you know, if that didn't happen, you know, I probably wouldn't have been in a position to rebuild my life. I ended up living in a halfway house and a facility with, you know, curfews and bedtimes, and I'd go to the bathroom, they'd have to stand by the door, and they're giving me alcohol tests every day. And, you know, I just went through this period of being broken down to like nothing but ash in 2016. Like, imagine a sheet of broken glass. That was my life. Like, I was ready to be done. And brick by brick, I put myself back together. And
given that you're less of a person that doesn't really care about maybe what other people think as much, or you don't compare yourself to others, I guess that doesn't necessarily. How was that? I mean, because you're in the public eye a lot during that time. Did that affect you? Or since you don't generally compare yourself to others, does public judgment not bother you that much, or did that really get to you?
No, not anymore. Oh, not anymore. Like, I don't get it at all. Like, dude, like at all. Like, you go watch my TikTok live today, because I do a bunch of TikTok lives. You'll see like the craziest, nastiest stuff said about me. Like, and honestly, I have fun with it at this point. But when I first got on TV, it was tough. It was tough. Especially after my first year on TV, because I got sick and I gained all that weight, and then you go on social media and look how fat and ugly he is. What a tool, kicked out of his league. How did he get that? What? Like, just all day. And I was like, you know, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not fat, I'm sick. I'm like, you know, and I was trying to like,
the job. Yeah.
But then here's what happens. I'm sure you know, in life, right? You know, we get a cut here, we get a cut here, we get a cut here. Well, eventually you get so many cuts, you're scarred up. And I tell people there's beauty in being scarred up, because then you become bulletproof. And what does that mean? I look at myself, it's like, it's really hard to hurt me. Like, I've had cancer twice. I've had the world talking shit. I've been through a public divorce. I've had back surgery. I've had mental health issues. Like, I've been an alcoholic. Like, I've been so beat up by life. At this point, it's really hard to hurt me. And that's why I feel so good, because I feel like everything's an opportunity today. Because my past has been so difficult. It's amazing to wake up and move and breathe and be able to walk and lift weights and go film and run with my kids, where for years I couldn't get out of bed, years I couldn't walk. So,
yeah, man. I mean, being able to shield from that in a way where you're not actually consciously thinking about it, right? I don't get it to the same degree that you do, for sure. But I mean, social media is wild. Like, people have a front row seat to be able to take stabs at you with things they would never, ever say to your face.
Never.
Right? And there's all these rationalizations you can make with it. But at the end of the day, like, it's a virtual world that these are comments, these are opinions that are so beyond superficial. Like, they're the next layer of superficial, because it's like stream of consciousness stuff that they can just type out of their fingers. It means nothing.
It means nothing.
And it's, generally stemming from a place of hurt somewhere else. Right.
Yeah.
And I think when you start realizing that you almost have some empathy for that in a way, but don't have too much empathy, because you don't want to let that stuff in, but you realize, like, okay, this is, hurt people.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd say, honestly, one of the most valuable lessons I ever learned in my life, is really, you're nothing more than the 5 people you choose to spend your time with.
Yeah.
And looking back at my life during my rough periods, or uninspired or unmotivated periods, I was hanging out with a bunch of losers, Today I look at who I'm hanging out with, I'm hanging out with excited people, hungry people, motivated people, good parents, good humans, good people. And I would say one of the best things I've ever done in my life started, I think probably it was about 4 years ago now. 4 years ago, I went on just this rampage of moving every single toxic person from my life.
Nice.
Like every single one. And I did it. I really did it. I got rid of every single toxic person in my life, and it was the most freeing thing I've ever experienced.
What did that look like? I mean, you just when you cut them out of your life, do you tell them, hey, like, gotta go? What do you?
Straight up.
Yep.
Yes. I've literally like broke up with friends. Yeah. I said, I don't think this is a good fit anymore.
That's gotta be a liberating feeling. And it's probably, in a weird way, liberating for them, because I think deep down people know when they're holding you back. It's like the crabs in a bucket thing. Ever hear that saying?
Yeah. And like
crabs, just pulling you down.
Yeah. And it's like, toxic employees, toxic friends, even toxic family. Seriously. All of them. Anyone who was throwing me off my path with any negative energy, I just had to remove them from my life. And since I've done that, I'm flourishing.
Have you ever heard the term like negative attachment, like a negative attachment before? It's like, keep coming back to this energy thing, but there's like, the world of spirituality, stuff's really interesting to like learn about, whether, no matter what realm of spirituality you're looking at, whether you're religious, whether you're looking at it just from a quantum biology level. I find quantum physics extremely fascinating, but not to go down that rabbit hole. Point is like, there's these like almost energetic attachments that people can form with you, right? And it's these negative attachments where, like, you talk about how you are this big energy source, especially now, right? You have a lot of energy, and usually people that have anxiety and OCD, they just like have a lot of energy anyway. Sometimes it manifests in like negative behaviors and bad health, but people want to tap into that, and they do it almost subconsciously, where it's like they're pulling from you and you don't realize what a draw they are on your energy. And it's like, when you have empathy for the situation, where you're like, you almost don't even realize what you're doing. Like, you're not consciously trying to hold me down. It's like you just are drawing power from me. And that just prohibits you from being your best self. And I think somehow in society, it's like become wrong to be self-serving in that respect, because it seems like, hey, well, why would you do this for yourself? You got to take care of everyone else, especially as men. Like, it's like our job to like, you got to take care of everyone. You got to be there for everybody. But there's also that element of knowing when someone's an energetic draw.
Yep.
And you got to be around those people that fill you up.
100%. 100%. You can't always be the one giving. Positive relationships go both ways. Yeah.
What would you say, if we get back to the food for just a minute, in terms of cravings, things like that, just getting down to more tactical things. You mentioned earlier that you've gamified it in a way where like now you just make it so you're not hungry.
Yeah.
This is a part where we're having this talk. I'm curious what you're doing, what you're deploying to sort of curb your appetite. Maybe you have some things that you can add into the mix too.
Yeah. So, all right. So some of my biggest mistakes, I worked out a lot on and off my whole life. My weight would yo-yo. And here's what I would do. I would eat so much food, and then I'd start working out. And then, I would stop eating. I would take ephedra, and literally I would lose weight. All I would eat, this is how I lost weight at 20, but it was terrible. All day, I'd have one meal. I'd have one piece of wheat bread, one can of tuna, and mustard. And that's literally all I ate.
Jeez.
Yeah, that has probably worked. And I lost the weight. Looking back, whenever I was exercising or lifting weights, it was always because I was trying to lose weight, and I would never eat a lot. I was always like starving myself, right? And it would work, but it would never last. So this time was different. I don't starve myself. I stay hungry, which is the opposite of what I used to do, right? And by staying hungry, it prevents me from eating the stuff I shouldn't be eating. Like, I know this sounds crazy. Like, if we're going out to a dinner and I'm hungry, I'll eat before I go to dinner with my wife. I'll have a sandwich or something, because if not, I'm going to eat all the chips, the guacamole, the salsa, the taquitos.
Amen.
Versus skipping the appetizers and having some chicken tacos.
Yep.
Right. So for me, how do I do this? Well, I keep myself full. First thing I do is on the way to the gym, 6:45, I have a protein shake. I eat a banana. I leave the gym at 8:00. I have another protein shake, a banana, and a packet of gummy bears. Right. And that's like 8:30. And then 9:30, I have breakfast, 3 eggs, ground beef, slice of sourdough bread, cottage cheese, tomato, salt, and pepper. So it's like 70 grams of protein, and this is all dense and filling food. And then in the afternoon around 2 o'clock, I have another typically bowl with brown rice, quinoa, chicken, beef, something like that. And then the same thing for dinner. And then my one cheat meal, which I'm working on. This is why I don't look like you, by the way. Well, no, many other reasons. My cheat meal is at 10 o'clock at night. I normally have like a big, like full milk yogurt and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's like my cheat meal.
Dude, have you taken, just, that Faya brand Greek yogurt, they can get like the 5%, like the full fat Greek yogurt. And then they make a, Lakanto makes like a liquid monk fruit, right? So it's like you just put it's like a vanilla monk fruit. You just drop it, like there's no calories or no sugar in that. Put a couple drops of that in, and then there's just like a scoop of protein powder in the yogurt and mix it up, and it's like a pudding.
Oh, you're gonna have to teach me this.
Yeah, and just do that. And then that way, if you did that, and then just maybe 86 to the PBJ or something, like, and just like that yogurt alone would be satiating. And then there's like no affiliation with this brand, but that brand Chalk Zero makes like sugar-free chocolate chips that like don't bloat you, and because a lot of the sugar-free ones just like
I need to learn this.
Yeah, dude, it's like, I mean, it's seriously like having vanilla pudding with chocolate chips in it.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's it, because I love sweets. So so that's like my cheat meal. But if you add all those meals up, I have, what is that? 4 solid meals plus 2 shakes, a banana and gummy bears. I think it's like 2,600 calories.
But again, you've gamified it, right? That's just, and I think there's 2 schools of thought. There's people that say, well, you just have to learn to eat intuitively, but that doesn't work when you're wired a certain way, right? There are people on this planet that can eat intuitively, and I understand, but like our hunger signals are hijacked so much by the hyperpalatable stuff that's in our food anyway. And it's to truly listen to your gut, you'd have to practically be living like on some homestead somewhere, like, because to get rid of the food noise.
Yeah, I can never do it. And that's like most people, and better than anyone, if they're struggling, if they literally planned their meals, meaning they knew what they were going to eat and the exact time they were going to eat every day, because I do, their life would change. Yeah. Because I eat even when I'm not hungry. Yeah. And if I'm not hungry and I eat, well, maybe I don't eat all of it because I'm not even hungry, but I make myself eat because it's on my schedule.
Yeah. Well, it's you're doing damage control like ahead of time, right? It's proactive. I always say, I love that you said you eat before you go out to eat. That's something I have preached for, I don't know if you've seen it in my videos, but I mean, like I have preached now for so long. I'll be like, always in my car, without fail, always, I have a Ziploc bag with a couple scoops worth of protein powder in there, because that is my backup plan, where it's like, if I've got to go out to a lunch, or I've got to go out to a dinner, I've got to go to a work thing, I will make sure that I have like 50 grams of whey protein before I go in, because I am just like you. I was really overweight before. And if I'm going to Mexican food and there's chips in front of me, the last thing you want to do is go into there hungry. Like that's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
And what protein can do for you, if you can just have that 20 minutes before you go in, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I mean, yeah, it's weird. Yeah. I have like an emergency snack. I keep like chomp sticks. I keep like,
yeah. So, okay, you're gonna laugh. I have this, I've never heard you say this. I have the same thing. So I have a bag I carry with protein bars, beef jerky. And what's been a big game changer for me? The Orgain pre-made shakes?
Yeah.
Those are the best. Cause like one thing that used to always bother me was putting the shake and the mess. Yeah. Like, I love the 30-gram Orgains, and I probably drink 2 of those a day.
Yeah, no, those are super good, man. And it's just the same thing. If I'm going into the grocery store, right? Like it's such a practical tip. Like have a protein shake before you even do grocery shopping, because like if you're not bringing that into the house, you're probably not going to eat it, right? It's just like, don't even have it in the house. And it's, so anytime like you're going into a grocery store, it's like, okay, even the ridiculous thing is like a literal glass of water can do it, but that's not the same. It doesn't have the same impact. But, and as someone like I've done a lot of intermittent fasting, that was just something that worked really, really well for me, especially with my weight loss, because it was the same it was a reverse gamification in a different way. It was like, I could go, if you just tell me not to eat for 12 hours, or if you tell me not to eat for 16 hours, I will put the blinders on and I will get through.
I like that. It's easy. See, it's easier for me to just not eat for 16 hours versus eating every 3 hours.
Yeah, right. The floodgates open. Like that was the thing. Like I'd be fasting, 16, 18 hours in. And then it's like, once I have one peanut. It's like everything, it all comes back. Oh, food. Like,
oh my God. Okay, you're gonna laugh. So there's like the juice fast you could do, like where you don't eat for like 3 days. So it was. I think this was with my ex-wife. It was 2000. I think it was 2012. So she went to, I think it was Nectar, and she got like a 3-day fast thing we were gonna do. So I lasted, and this is when I was drinking, and so I like the whole thing. I was a show. I lasted until I think it was like 6 p.m. all day, starving. I had like 2 like lemon juices. I ended up at Panda Express with like 2-item combos. I got so sick. I ate so much food. I got so like ill because like you said, I had that first bite and like I couldn't stop. So
no, it works like that. It's, I always say, like, when fasting, I think you and I were talking about this, we talked on the phone a while back. It's like when you go a long period of time without eating, like what you first put in your mouth is so critical because it can make or break the direction you go from there, right? It's an inflection point. And it's also the hardest time because you're usually hungry. And this is the time when you're like, okay, it's the most, I tell people that we're fasting, it's like, this is the most disciplined you're going to have to be in your entire day because you've gone, let's just hypothetically say 18 hours without food. Like, you're going to want to eat whatever's in front of you. You're going to want, so it's like, God, if you could just suck it up for that 5 minutes and have like a chicken breast or something that's just not that exciting, it's going to be hard, but I promise you, then 30 minutes later, you will be making a much more conscious decision on what you eat.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, 100%. It's funny. You just use the word discipline. And I say it all the time. Discipline will fix all your problems. If you're overweight, if you're not going to the gym, if you're not eating the right foods, that's just discipline, right? Because the discipline will get you to do the things you don't want to do. It's not motivation. It's not, it's discipline. Like, when I don't want to go to the gym, I go to the gym. When I want to eat the double cheeseburger, I don't eat the double cheeseburger. Well, sometimes.
Isn't it crazy? Like, the irony, the paradoxical nature of discipline. I was talking to someone, he spent a number of years in Tibet at like, monasteries and studying Zen. And he was telling all these things, and he was explaining to me, he's like, dude, it's so crazy. He's like, he was speaking about it from a Zen perspective. He's like, Zen is the most disciplined, like ritualistic, like thing out there. Like, it's crazy. Everything is ritualized down to going to the bathroom and washing your hands. And he's like, the paradoxical nature of it is that that's the entire idea why they're so ritualized, is to have this massive liberation, right? Mental freedom. And it's like, I had never thought about it like that, because freedom to eat whatever you want, or freedom to do whatever you want, is almost like a state of anarchy in a way. Like, you're just at your wits to do whatever you want. Yeah. But an element of discipline is actually what gives you the real freedom when you think about it. You're disciplined with your food, then you have the freedom for your body to work the way you want it to work. So it's like it's so paradoxical. You're like, everyone wants freedom. Everyone wants the freedom to eat whatever they want. It's like, that leads to just chaos.
Yeah.
It's the discipline that actually gives you freedom.
Yeah, and 100%. But people don't understand is discipline's earned. Yeah. You got to work for discipline. Yeah. It doesn't, most people aren't born with it. It doesn't just magically show up. Discipline is built over time, and it's starting with small wins, and it's starting with small habits. And those small wins and those small habits, they build on each other. Well, wait a minute. Oh, I can make money. Oh, I can lose weight. Oh, I can get muscle, right? And these little wins, they start stacking up. And that's how you go so far in life. Like, if I didn't go from here to here to here to here to here to here, right? I never would have made it. If I was trying to go from here to here, I never would have done it.
Yeah.
And that's what most people do. They try to go from A to Z. You got to go from A to B, B to C, C to D. And trust me, I know this because I'm sure you have too. I've tried going A to Z. It doesn't work. I get fat, I get drunk, I eat the wrong food.
Or you do whatever it takes necessary to get there. And that can sometimes be like ridiculously unhealthy things.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
So you go A to V, it's like you fractalize it a little bit, Yeah. It's like, if you tell me, Thomas, go from A to Z, and that is your objective, it's going to be like AI takeover, right? It's like, you're just going to do whatever I need to do to complete the task, right? And it's like, that's the ADD in me. That is not healthy, Thomas.
Yeah.
That was me when I was 300 pounds in the private equity world. It was like, Thomas, make money, close deals. Yes, sir.
On it. Yeah, well, I was there, man. I remember getting so much weight, and I couldn't afford new clothing. I used to have to steal my girlfriend's hair ties and use them as a pant extender because I couldn't button my shorts anymore.
Dude, yeah.
That was my freshman year of college. Yeah, it was depressing.
One, a question that I actually wanted to ask you, and it's funny to even ask it here because it's just, Heather's vegan, right?
Yeah.
Is that hard for you to balance like in the house because you're not vegan? And she's like, but it's cool that you guys can coexist like that, because sometimes one thing I've appreciated about her, at least publicly, she's not like super dogmatic about it, right? Like just like, this is how I eat, it's how I feel good. You know, is that hard to juggle that?
No. I mean, it works well for me because it incorporates a lot of vegan food into my diet. But of course, I'm still eating like meat and all that stuff. But we eat totally different meals, you know, and she's like a bird too, you know? So, you know, but she's been great because like if you look in our pantry, you look in our fridge, most of the stuff's vegan, it's healthy, it's organic. So you were saying, you know, don't go to the store and buy the food you shouldn't buy and put them in your home. Like that's my house. Yeah. There are no cheat meals at my house. Like you can't, my cheat meal is a yogurt and like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And like the kids know, they're like, oh, Heather's food.
It's probably good quality peanut butter. It's probably good quality jelly, right?
Yeah.
You're not eating like hydrogenated oil crap.
Yeah, exactly. So everything is clean, healthy, organic. And actually, I like a lot of different vegan foods too.
Dude, some of them are awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's such a difference between like people that are vegan just for the sole purpose of just like they'll go to any means necessary just to eat vegan food. But then there's people that are actually like health conscious vegan that are actually like, I want the good quality thing, sans meat. So it's just like you see like really good options that are actually nutritionally dense. And I was thinking about you earlier before we were filming. I was like, actually, it's such a perfect dynamic. If you have one person that's vegan in the house and one person that's not, it allows you to eat all of those foods and get the spectrum of nutrients that you get from there. But then you're also getting your added benefit of having meat. So it's actually like works perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like I never used to eat, what are the orange things called? Sweet potato. Oh, yeah. So like, yeah. But see, I don't cook. She feeds me. But she feeds me the orange things. I never used to eat sweet potatoes. Never used to eat quinoa. Like there's all these different things I eat now.
What would you say? What's your one vice? Your biggest vice? Like if you were just like, all right, Tarek, you get a free pass today. Like what would you go eat?
Oh, what would I eat?
Yeah.
Damn. Like as much as I want, probably pizza. Yeah. I used to be a competitive pizza eater.
Like for real?
Like I would, like I get, like I mean, not for reals, but like I mean, I would take down like 20 slices. So, yeah, and I used to deliver pizza before I got into real estate, so I was eating like a whole large pizza a night.
Were you just like
as I'm delivering all night, just eating whole pizza?
Just take someone's pizza, or did you bring an extra?
I would make my own pizza. I put it in my car while I'm driving. I'd eat pizza. Yeah,
someone's not there to accept their pizza order. You can eat their pizza.
I've done that once.
Yeah, it's. What about? Do you allow? Because you're on the road a lot, so you're probably eating out a fair bit. Do you have sort of ground rules for yourself?
Yes, I learned it from you.
Right.
I did. So, when I'm home, I'm eating every couple hours. When I'm traveling, I know my schedule is going to be off. I know I'm going to be eating worse foods. So I typically do intermittent fasting when I'm traveling, which means I'll limit my eating window. So I'm eating, foods I shouldn't be eating, but because of the fasting, I end up staying the same weight and I look the same when I get back, if that makes sense. So that's one of the things I learned from you is when I'm traveling, I'll do a lot more fasting. I'll do less meals.
Yeah, that's a killer strategy because it's like when you got to operationalize the variables. Like when you're home, you can be in control. Like it's just like when you're on the road, I think I've always said like, and when in doubt, it's usually like if I'm traveling, it's like at least do my best to keep it low carb only because the carb options on the road are usually not the best carb options, right? Like meat options are generally meat options. Like, I mean, some people might destroy me for saying that, but the reality is like when you're on the road, a burger patty is a burger patty is a burger patty. Like there might be some delta between them, but reality is that
damn French fries.
Yeah. But try finding like a sweet potato vending machine. Yeah. It's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to like isolate better carbs, man. So what's next for you? What are your like fitness goals? What's your nutrition goals? Is it just, hey, or are you not setting a goal on purpose?
I guess, my one goal is to stick with it no matter what. So that's lifestyle, which means I'm just a person that works out now, and I'm always going to be a person that works out. And I was telling you earlier today, 4 years ago, and you remember I had back surgery, I had shoulder problems, I had knee problems, I had all these problems. Oh my gosh, I started getting arthritis. And I was noticing in yoga, so like my fingers were hurting, my toes were hurting. And the wildest thing happened when I started lifting heavy weights again. All my pain went away. My arthritis pain's gone. My knee pain's gone. Shoulder pain's gone. Back pain's gone. And it's 100% from me pushing my body and forcing it to like regenerate and rebuild. But I feel younger and stronger now from lifting than I have in 20 years.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. That was such a nice feeling.
Well, Tarek, dude, thanks for taking the time, man. And
Yeah.
I'll link out to all your stuff down below. But, and kudos to you for just keep it rocking throughout a lot of ups and downs, man.
Yeah, well, keep inspiring people. You know, like I said, I found you randomly on YouTube, and I really appreciate the content. Love what you're putting out there. It's so helpful to so many people. And the truth is, people want a better way. They want more. They just don't know how to get it. So that's why people like you are so important. So thank you.
Thanks, man.
And thank you for the ring, by the way, because if my wife saw me not wearing a ring, I'd be in big trouble. So this is Thomas's second wedding ring. So honey, if you're watching this, I did wear a ring.